Wow, let me catch my breath. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, Ramses 3 is right there.
Okay.
Right where the brown is coming out right now.
Are we recording?
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
Sorry.
Okay. She already- okay, anyway.
you can edit.
Hello friends, right now we are here at the Egypt, and as our dear friend Steve says, without understanding Egypt, you cannot understand Old Testament. So right now we are standing at a Valley of the Kings, and what is Valley of the Kings, what is its importance, and how it relates to the biblical Old Testament narrative and the special story of the Exodus, Moses, and the redemption story. Steve, over
Wow.
to you.
You want all of that in 5 seconds?
Well, it's up to you.
We're standing in front of King Tut's tomb. Now, it's interesting that King Tut, if you look at, it's right next to another tomb. And so when they dug that tomb out, they put all of the rubble on top of King Tut. And that's why it was hidden for so many years, because all of the rubble that came out of that tomb was put on top of King Tut's tomb. And so it wasn't found until 1921 by Howard Carter. Now,
Having said that, 1921, so we assume that we execute, or the world execute, everything in the Egypt. But what do you think? Is there still more to explore?
Some archaeologists believe we've only discovered 60%. There's another 40% still buried around. In the Valley of the Kings, this is the 17th, 18th, and 19th dynasty, and there are still 3 kings missing. So they think that they're probably somewhere.
So how this place and the story and the narrative impact the biblical redemption story in the Old Testament?
One of the things you will see is a lot of priests that are carrying staffs that are snakes. They're actually shaped in the shape of a snake. It's a snake in the shape of a staff. And that ties right into Moses throwing his staff down and it becomes a snake, and how Moses or Aaron's rod turns into a snake and it eats the snakes of the other. It shows who has the most power over chaos. The snake represented chaos.
Yeah.
Okay, so there are many snakes you will see in here, and the priests control them by holding them. That's control of chaos, and then of course our God is more powerful in doing that.
Relating to that narrative, we saw another cleansing of lips 7.
Yes.
How that
Yes.
relate and how that correct our misconception about Moses' stutteredness?
Right. Moses, we read in the Bible that Moses says that my lips are not right, or my lips are not correct. What he is saying is not that he has a stutter or that he has a speech problem. What he is saying is that his lips have not been cleansed. His lips have not been touched by the coals of the fire, like in Isaiah 6, when Isaiah's lips were touched with the coals, then he was able to speak for God. It's the same for Moses. He was saying literally, my lips are not holy. They have not been cleansed for speaking for God.
So friends, come to Egypt if you want to really understand Old Testament. Otherwise, you will be following the dead white man theology, and they will giving you wrong conceptions. Now, one more thing. We see lots of afterlife. This is the whole concept of afterlife. And how that, because we are in a resurrection week now, we are in a holy week as a Christian. We are believing Jesus Christ born and raised from dead. What do you think, how that relate this afterlife concept with the Christian concept?
Well, one thing, I believe God prepared Egypt for Christianity when it came, because unlike all the other ancient societies, they had a fully developed concept of the afterlife. Okay, and it's interesting that in the tombs has a symbol with a bee in a basket that represented milk and honey. And they believed that their paradise was a land flowing with milk and honey, which is the same that Moses used to describe the promised land, right? A land flowing with milk and honey. So they believed that the night was 12 hours and you had to pass through 12 gates, that you had to have a secret password to get past the gates, the 12 hours of the night, to rise with the sun in the morning. Now we of course believe out of John that Jesus is the gate, Jesus is the way, and they have all these magical formulas to get into the afterlife. We have Jesus to get us into the
Wonderful. We have our resume director here. I would like to invite. Steve, you stay here. You stay here. Come on, please come over here. So this is your which trip? How many times you have been?
This is my 5th time to.
Wow,
Egypt,
5th time. What brought you every time here?
Well, we had a generous sponsor in Canada who really was impacted personally by hearing the deep, just experiencing the land here and the rich history and the story. And so it changed his life. And he said, "I want to see more pastors in Canada come." And so he sponsored groups of pastors to come. And so I was part of those groups.
Wonderful. And we are so grateful to Resonate and for this network and the retreat. as our director is here also. And thanks to Steve also for our resource person correcting our Old Testament understanding and giving it a new perspective based on the historical period. Steve, thank you very much. And thank you very much, you too.
Yeah, thanks, Eric.
Yeah, great. Thank you to our camera
Yes.
lady.